What's going on? My name's Dillon. Welcome back to the channel and yet another MetaTrader 5 series where today we are going to actually be able to create our very first expert advisor that actually trades for us, which is really cool now. Apologies, I had a couple weeks off. However, we're back in the swing of things. It's the holiday season. I have some time off. So we're going to be pumping out some content, which is really, really exciting. Now, what are we going to be doing today? We are going to be opening and closing trades using the CTrade functions, which is within MetaTrader 5. And this is exactly how we're going to be able to tell our expert advisor when to enter and exit a trade, as well as any conditions like, for example, lot size, take profit, and stop loss that accompanies that trade. Now, position open is the function that we're going to be used to actually enter a trade with given parameters that we're going to tell our function or our expert advisor to put in. And for the opposite, we are going to be doing position close function to, of course, close the positions for a particular symbol. Now, this is going to be very, very important, and you'll see the reasons why we want to be using position close. Now, this is the resource that we use today, and this link, which I'll leave in the description, will take you to the MetaTrader 5 write-up of the trade class or CTrade. Now, I do recommend actually going and looking through the different functions that come in the CTrade library because they're going to be very useful moving forward, particularly if you want to do other types of trade entries and exits and the like. So that is it. Now let's go into the video. All right, so this is where we've gotten up to thus far in our expert advisor development. And again, if you're not up to date, then I do recommend watching my previous video so that way you can follow along in this one, of course, all part of the series. Now, there's a few things that I want to highlight in our code because we have set up some foundational things to actually do what we are going to be doing today, and that is this include function over here. Now, what we're going to be including, which is this line of code, our include, is the trade backslash, well, this file here, trade.mqh. And this trade.mqh is actually the library that we are going to be looking up to actually enter in and exit or close our trades. Now, what we have done just below this is created a pointer called trade that will actually point to the functions within the trade library. Now, how to access this trade library, which I do recommend looking at, is going to file and going to open data folder. And this is going to open the data folder where your MetaTrader is actually saved on your local device. What we want to do is go to MQL5. We want to go to the include folder, and this is where all your include items or libraries are. Notice the directory over here in the include folder, or what we've done in the code, we've gone trade. So that's the next folder, trade, and then we've got trade.mqh, and this is the library over here. So I do recommend going and spending a little bit of time looking through this to get a little bit of an idea of, for example, what functions you can use within the library, but also, for example, the functions that you are using, how they're actually coded up and developed within the actual library itself. Now, you don't have to spend too much time in here, but it is pretty good to get your head around, especially if you're just starting out in coding, get your head around in some of the functions that we're going to be using today. Now, what we want to do is actually, of course, code up our entry and exit signals. Now, what we have done thus far is, and the important thing is, used our expert advisor or our indicator, which is the MACD indicator, to tell our expert advisor whether to go long or whether to go short, whether there is a bullish or a bearish crossover of our indicator. Now, this is done in not our last video, but the one before. This is done using this function, this custom function that we have made called get MACD open signal. And that get MACD open signal is this custom function that we've created down over here. And all this does is returns long or short conditions, or if there's no crossover, then it returns no trade. Now, what we want to do is actually, of course, enter trades now, and we want to enter trades based on what our indicator is telling us. And that indicator, which is using the function get MACD open signal, is actually now stored as the variable called open signal MACD. And that again is a string because we're returning open or close, or of course, no trade. Now, what we want to do is put that just under our indicator over here, and I'm just copying some code, and I want to call this enter trades. just put the comment called enter trades over here. And this is where we want to put in some if statements, for example. So we want to put in if we have a open signal MACD and that's long, then of course we want to be entering long trades. And then likewise, if we have an open signal MACD short, then we want to be entering short trades. Now we have to put in our if statement, open signal MACD. So if open signal MACD, I can't type. If open signal MACD equals long, then we want to do something else if open signal MACD short. Oh, and don't forget to use those. Now, what we want to do within here, and I'll put the squiggly brackets. So what we want to be doing here is, of course, telling our expert advisor to open trades and close trades. And we're going to be using the library again, as we've said up here. We're going to be using the library called trade.mqh, using the pointer trade. Now, another thing as well, what we've done here is declared the magic number, or used the trade.setExpert magic number down over here. So that's important. We've already set that one up already. And notice how we've used the actual trade pointer over here as well. But what we want to be doing now in here is actually telling our expert advisor to open the trades. Now, likewise, how we've actually set up get MACD open signals, what I'm going to do just to clean up the code is not actually do the entries in here, but actually put in a custom function. Now, what I want to do is actually declare the custom function first, rather than setting up all the code and then moving it down. We can declare the custom function first, and we can call this custom function, for example, process trade open. And we need to feed it something. Now, what we want to be feeding our open trade, our process trade open function, is whether we're going long or going short. Now, we can specify an order type buy. So we can specify an order type buy within our custom function. So we're feeding it in order type buy because we're going to be going long. And this order type buy is basically a market open, a market order for a buy signal. Now, or a buy trade. Now we want to do the same for shorts. But of course we want to do order type sell for shorts. And this is going to be our custom function over here. Now, if I compile this, we're going to be getting errors because we don't actually have process trade opens, our custom function called process trade opens. We actually need to code this one up. Now, if I go down to the bottom to our custom functions area over here, we can actually start coding up our custom functions. So basically what's going to happen is every time an expert advisor runs, when it sees process trades open, this function over here, it's actually going to run the code and it's going to skip to our custom functions down over here. Now, I'm just going to do some more comments. And what I'm going to do is just put in a comment that just says process open trades for buy and sell. So what we're going to be doing is returning a Boolean. So this custom function is going to be a Boolean, which is going to return true or false. And basically that's going to mean that it's going to return true if it was successful, and of course false if it wasn't successful, and if there was an error. Now, again, we've just typed in process trades open, and that's our custom function name. But remember, we have put in our order type, which is order type buy. So we actually need to specify that within our custom function as well. So remember, they go hand in hand. Now, this order type, or what I should say, this order type buy over here, that is what is called an enum order type. So that's the type it is. So likewise, like how you might have a Boolean or an integer, this is actually enum order type. And I can declare a variable for this called order type. Now, just to make sure that everything's working, we're return false. So I'm just going to, every time this process trade open actually runs, it's just going to return false, and that's all it does. So I've compiled it, and then now there's no errors. So that means we've set up our custom function properly, which means everything's working appropriately. So I can remove that and actually start building out our custom function. Now, the first thing that I want to do is declare some variables, and I'm just going to copy these variables across. And these variables are as follows. We have the current symbol, which is a string, and that all that does is actually gets the current symbol that we are trading using this function. We've used this plenty of times. We're declaring a price variable as a double, a stop loss, and a take profit, because of course those are the things that we're going to need to actually enter our trades. We need to know what the price is at the time that the trade is running. And we also need to specify a stop loss and a take profit. Now, we will also need a lot size, but we can work out the lot size later on. But these are the main things for now that we're going to need. Now, what we want to do again is put in another if statement, because we want to work out if the order type says buy, then we want to, of course, do work out our price, our stop loss, and take profit depending on a buy signal. And then likewise for shorts, we want to be working out our price, stop loss, and take profit for shorts, because of course they're not going to be the same whether we're going long or whether we're going short. Now, we put in our if statement, and similar to what we've done before, if our order type equals order type buy, we want to be doing something. Else if equals order type sell, we want to be doing something as well. Now, the things that we're going to be doing, the first thing that we're going to be doing is, of course, working out the price. Now, this is very important, and what I'm going to do is copy this code, is working out the price over here. Now, this is important, and what I'm going to do is start from the middle and start from the first brackets and then work our way outwards. So what I've got highlighted here, we've got symbol info double, current symbol, and ask. So all this is doing is getting the ask price at the current time for the symbol that we are trading. Now, what we've got on the outside of that, so once we've worked that out, we've got the ask price, we've got normalized double, and we've got digits. Now, all this one does, normalized double, is that it's normalizing the amount of digits or the amount of decimal places depending on the amount of digits that is traded for this particular symbol. Now, different symbols would have different digits. An common example and a good one is, for example, the Japanese yen has different decimal places behind it compared to, for example, all the rest of the major currency pairs. So this is where digits or normalized double with digits comes in handy, because then we can make sure that we are using the appropriate rounding for when we are entering or getting the price for our expert advisor. And notice as well how for order type buys, we're actually using the symbol ask to get the price, because of course when we're buying something at the ask. Now, what we want to do is, of course, put in our stop loss and take profits. And our stop loss and take profit is going to be our price, which is worked out over here, minus 0.01. And then we're using normalized double to, again, normalize that to the same amount of digits just to be safe. Now, this is, not the best expert advisor, because, of course, we're putting in a static 0.01 stop loss. If you want to do a volatility adjusted stop loss, for example, based off, an ATR, which is what we're going to be doing, we, of course, can do that, but we're going to do that in a later episode. Just for now, we're just going to specify a static stop loss of 0.01 away from price. And, of course, because we're buying something, our stop loss is going to be below the price, so minus. And our take profit is going to be 0.02 above the price for our expert. Now, what I want to do is do the exact same thing for our shorts. So I've just copied the code over, but instead of price, instead of selling something at the ask, if we want to sell something at the bid, And we also want to be setting our stop loss instead of below price, it's above price, and instead of our take profit being above price, it's now below price because of course we are going short. Now that is everything set up appropriately. We've got our price, our stop loss, and take profit for each of our buy and sell conditions. Now what we can do is now use this to actually put in our trading conditions. Now before we do that, there's one more thing that we're going to need to do, and that is to actually get our lot size. And what we need to do is declare a lot size, or to declare a variable. So double lot size equals 1. So we're just going to be trading one lot for now, but of course we're going to be adjusting this later down the track when we get the appropriate money management on the way. Now that we've set this up, we can actually start entering our trades. So we can go execute. Can't even type today. Execute trades. Now this is where we actually use the pointer trade. Now when we use the pointer, we just need to do trade dot, and then now this trade pointer is now looking up all the different functions within that trade library, and we can see all the functions down over here. Now you can scroll through that, but if you've got a particular function in mind, for example, position open, we can use that over here. Now that I've hit enter, we can see what this function actually requires from us. We need a symbol, an order type. We also need a double volume. Oh, sorry, a volume. So that's the amount of lots that we're going to be trading. We need a price, a stop loss, a take profit, and if we want, we can put in a comment, which we have actually put in a comment option, which is up here, this input trade comment over here. So that's the comment that we're going to be using. So what are we going to need? We're going to need the first one, which was, I believe it was the symbol. Yes, we need the symbol. So we've got current symbol over here, and it's just filling it in. The order type, I believe, was next because it's asking us for an order type. We've got order type over here. The next one is volume, which is our lot size. Our price, and again that's price for whether we're going long or short depending on the if statement. Our double stop loss, SL. Our double take profit, and our comment, which is from the very top, an input trade comment. Now that's it, and now the last thing I want to do is add in. So if you've got any error handling functions, then you can of course put them over here. But what I'm going to do is just return true because it's run successfully. Now compile. That looks like it's worked quite well. Getting some issues here though. Possible use uninitialized variable price. We can initialize it then. 0. There we go. So we need to initialize it. We can initialize it as 0. That's fine, no biggie. That way we get rid of those warnings. Now I've been ripping my head out because I've made an error in the code and it wasn't actually running. However, this was the error and I wanted to show you, and this is the exact reason why I like to write this out for you and not just copy and paste it. And I wasn't actually getting the signal execute, or this process trade opens to execute for sells, because I didn't put in a capital S over here. So I've got a lowercase S for shorts, but what is getting returned from our MACD indicator is a capital S shorts. So just an error like that will actually throw off your code, and that's why it's very, very important. Well, make sure that you're typing in the right thing, but if you are getting any errors, to work through the code and to work backwards to make sure that your code is running properly. Now, just something simple like that can throw your code off, which is really important that you do take your time to actually code your expert advisor properly. And I've compiled that, that works. I actually need to put these back in because I took them off just before. Compile it. and we're getting no warnings as well because they're initialized. All right, so compiled it again, triple checked it, make sure it works. Good, it's working. Now what we can do is actually go here, and now this should work. Now, what I've done, we're still using the modeling 1 minute open, high, low, close, and we've got the visualization mode, of course, ticked on. We can actually start the visualization and see if this is working. Now, what we're looking for is an open trade. There we go. So we had an open on the previous candle. We've got a crossover, a bearish crossover of the MACD, so it's telling us to go short. And now we've actually entered in a trade. We've entered in a trade at 0.689, and that's at the candle opening of this particular candle. And of course, because it's a short, we bought on the bid, and we bought market on the bid. Now, we've also put in our stop loss and take profit. Our stop loss is at minus 1,000 or 0.01 away from price. And that is minus 1,000, which is over here. And we've got our take profit at 2,000, positive 2,000 or 2,000 below our price, because of course we're going short. And that is 0.02. Remember how we've set up our take profit and stop losses before. Again, later down the track, we're going to be using a volatility adjusted money management type of system. But we can see our expert advisor is working. Now, what we want to do is actually go through this and actually see what happens, see how our code is running. And we've just entered in another trade over here. Now we've entered in another trade. We've got in our a bullish crossover now. So our MACD has crossed over. And we do have a entry signal for our indicator, or for our expert advisor over here. And we did get a new set of stop loss and take profit over here. But what you can notice is we still have 2 trades opening. So that's why we've got a bunch of different lines on the screen. And that means that we've got 2 trades opening. So we never actually closed the original trade. And that is because our expert advisor doesn't know that we need to close our original trade. So what we need to do is set up a condition to actually mitigate this. And well, there's 2 ways of doing it. We can either close our original trade like we mentioned. So if we do get a new signal, we close the previous trade and then enter in a new one. Or the alternative is to actually keep this trade open and wait for it to either hit a stop loss or a take profit. So if we're already in a trade, then we're not actually entering in any new ones. Now, what we're going to be doing is if we get a conflicting signal, then we exit the trade and we actually go back long. So that's what we're going to be doing instead of what I mentioned in the ladder. Now, I've stopped that. So let's go into our code. And that's actually code that in. So let's say, for example, when this process trades open runs, let's, for example, close any existing trades that might be within our expert advisor. So we can do that before our trade opens. So we can do trade dot position close. And remember, we mentioned this before at the start of the video, that trade dot position close will actually close all the open positions for a current symbol that we are trading. So all we need to actually tell it is what is the current symbol that we are using, and we can just do that. As simple as that. Now, let's go back and let's actually see how our expert advisor now performs. It's not loaded up properly. Just reset it. There we go. So let's see how it performs. Now, I believe it was candle 9 that we got a signal. Yep, we got a signal. And then when we have another crossover, of course, a bullish crossover, our trade's going to execute. And there we go. We've actually closed the trade. So see here how we now have one green line open because that's our current price that we entered at. But the previous green line that was over here, of course, doesn't exist anymore. Our stop loss and take profits also don't exist for that particular trade, or are not showing on the charts. That is because that trade is now closed, and we can see that in the dotted line over here. And we can actually see where it closed for this particular trade. Now, another way to view that is to look at the history of our expert advisor, and we can see the orders. So our very first order, which is order number 2, and that is when we entered the trade over here. We sold short. And then we've got that over here, and then we've got our next order, which is order number 3, and that is a buy order, and that is to buy back the short that we of course entered in before. And then what's happening is, so then that cancels out essentially. And then what happens now is that we buy in again on our next order over here. So 2 orders happening. We're closing the original trade, but we're also opening a new trade, and that's going to be our trade over there. Now, just to recap again, actually just to go back, one thing I want to do just to clean up this. Now, again, I've mentioned this before, but if you're just using in an if statement 1 line of code, you actually don't need the squiggly brackets. So I can clean that up a little bit. And there was one other thing I noticed down here. I didn't put in a comment. It's not open, but get for there we go. I didn't put in a comment over there, but this now all looks good. Compile, no errors. Awesome. Now, this is awesome because we now have a working expert advisor that actually trades the market for us. And if this is your very first expert advisor that actually trades, then congratulations. This is absolutely huge. And this is a big step forward in your progression as becoming an algorithmic trader that uses, of course, expert advisors within MetaTrader 5. Now, this is really cool because not only can we backtest, but we can actually use this expert advisor to trade the markets for us. Again, I don't recommend trading this expert advisor because we are only using one indicator and 1 filter to get the trades for us. However, I think you can see the power of using expert advisors, not only for backtesting, but now using it as well for trading the markets for us. Now, again, there's further things that we're going to have to do. For example, the money management, also adding in multi-symbol currencies within our actual expert advisor to trade just 1 expert advisor for example, 28 currency pairs all at once. We can do that. We can also do optimizations for our expert advisor all in one go. There's a whole bunch of other things that we need to add in. This is just the beginning. However, I think you can see the value of doing that within this series. So with all that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Again, plenty more videos to come out in the future. If you did enjoy it, I would appreciate a like on the video, even a comment letting me know what you've learned today and whether this is your very first expert advisor that you've ever built that actually takes trades for us. I would love to see that in the comment section as well. If you haven't already, then consider subscribing and hit the bell notification so that way you're notified on when I do release my next videos. And of course, if you do get stuck, consider joining the Discord community where there's 2,000 members in the Discord. So if you got any questions, then ask them in there. That's a good place to put them. Now, with all that being said, hope you enjoyed this one again. Happy trading, happy coding, and I will see you in the next one.